subs and fishing for like, oh, I got one! Oh! I think that's how that works today. Just kind of trying out new things, just hanging out in the little squirrel thingy. The mobile golesque. Hold on, I'll be right back. Yeah, too much light reflection in this. Is that better? Yeah, that's better. I'm like, morning, Zoe. Sorry, I had to get rid of some light reflection. How's Zoe this morning? And I guess I'll fix my little fisher pole here. Yeah. Oh. Fishy pole. For my. What's up, Zaya? How's your morning going? How's your morning going, Zaya? Oh. Hi, Zaya. What are you doing? Playing a catch a mouse game, see if I can get somebody to. Woo! I got a big one. I got a big one. I'm Zaya. You said Zoe. No, I said Zaya. I said Zaya. I'm pretty sure I said Zaya. What are you up to, Zaya? How's your day going? How's your morning going, Zaya? How's your morning cooking? It's really completely screwing up my whole entire. Woo! That's funny. Oh well. Good to hear. Good to hear. Good to hear, Zaya. That's good to hear. Oh, I was watching the YouTubes and morning. What's going on, man? What's going on? Welcome in. Welcome in. How's your morning going? I got bored this morning, so I'm like, I'm gonna do me a live stream. What the hey? So that's what I'm doing. What's good? I bought some Legos. Nice. I bought a fishing pole to catch more subs because I had 200 yesterday, and now I'm down to 198. So now I got to catch me 2 subs again to get back to my 200 mark. That I was hoping to hit by Saturday, but apparently, you know, it happens. You know, people get angry about little things for some apparent reason. They just delete their whole entire sub. You know. Even though I don't watch, I'm subbed to a lot of channels. Even though I don't watch their channels, I still leave my sub there, allow their channel to grow. He was talking about me, not you, not your morning. No, I was talking about everybody's morning. Morning, Oscar. What's going on? What's going on, Oscar? Oh, yeah, this actually kind of works out pretty good to sit here and I'll just sit here and cast my line until I get me some subs. Fishing for subs. Fishing for subs. That's what I'm doing this morning. Fishing for subs. Don't ask. I don't know. I figure maybe I'll catch me a big one. It'll be full of like 500 subs this morning. Like, let's get the big old reel going. Oh, it's a big one. No, there's a small fish. Throw it back. No tiny. Going to a party. Sarah. Nice. Parties are fun. A little early for, well, no, because you're over in England. So I was like, isn't it a little early for parties? But no, it's late where you're at. So that makes sense. Oh, yeah, I was learning the do's and don'ts of things to make your channel grow this morning. I was totally doing the don'ts. So, you know how that works. You get a little anxious when you first start trying to figure everything out. All the pluses and the negatives and the do's and don'ts and how to track your main audience. Need to change my power back 1 second. All right. So I kind of figure like this, you figure it probably takes 3 to 6 months to actually figure out the whole entire YouTube system before you actually get her down perfect. And I'm on month 1 1/4, so I'm learning. I'll have to figure out just here at laying the boat. Just kind of enjoy the scenery. Sailing, sailing over the ocean blue. Sailing, sailing. Oh, I got a big one! Yep, I got a like. I got me a like. Oh, yeah! I caught me a like. I like it. What do you do? Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. This green screen does not work for tiddly tots. You know that? It does not work for jingle jangle nothing. Maybe I can fix it so I can keep it on the. Don't worry about my phone falling down like this. There, we'll just. Whee! There, because nothing goes up to that part of the screen anyway, so I think that works. I don't know why it keeps cutting out my green screen though. That's kind of annoying. Don't you think so? It's pretty annoying when your green screen keeps cutting out. Keep making it. Maybe if I don't move, I just stay perfectly still, then my green screen will be good. Mm-hmm. Yep, yep. Oh! Well, that didn't work for Sailor down. We're down. Going down. Going down. Dive. Dive. Apparently we got a submarine now. Morning, buddy. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Don't forget to hit the like button when you come in. And if you feel fancy, if you haven't subscribed, give me a subby sub. Morning, Michael. Oh. Right. Oh. Oh. I don't really know what to talk about. I was bored, so I was like, I wonder what the grumpy people are doing this morning. Come hang out with you guys. Mm-hmm. See if we got anything entertaining going on. Probably gonna be a short one though, because I'm gonna run down and get me a coffee here after a bit. So probably gonna do like a little 30-minute Heyo stream and then go get a coffee and probably come back and do a longer one after the caffeine has hit inside my blood veins and I get the little jitters from the caffee. But I don't know. You can only watch so much YouTube at once. I can't say it. Watch all the YouTube you can. If you really want to watch, come watch Grumpy's hang out. Because we need more viewers and more subbers and more likers and So don't forget to hit the like button. Show the love for the channel, right? But whatever the hell, I don't care if the Democrats have passed another stupid bill that's going to screw over Washington State. Doesn't solve any problems. They just keep passing more taxes. So I got a notification. But every week, my lovely state government keeps passing more dumbass laws to screw us over. But people keep saying, oh, the Democrats are going to fix the world. No, they have not. One of the 30 bills they've written so far is doing anything but bankrupting people, making homeless and drug addicts. Yay, Democrats, you bunch of morons. Oh, you know, if you were to go into the ocean, right? If you were going to the ocean, the world would be like a big giant whale, right? And Democrats would be a school of moronic little fish just going. It's so dumb. They're just following the leaders, and you know, they're just like literally going inside the whale's mouth because that would be a Democrat. That would be a Democrat. Just plain Jane. I was watching this one lady's channel. They were talking about militias. You know, we don't have militia. Well, I mean, we have borderline people that play militia, but the United States has state national guards now. We don't need militias anymore. And the U.S. Supreme Court was ruled militias were actually unconstitutional anyways, and the right of the people to bear arms was a granted right of the Constitution. But people, for some reason, they try to break down the Bill of Rights to like the smallest teeny words, and they get stuck on a word, which constitutional scholars have already decided you're a moron. Okay, so just get off the fact when the constitutional scholars have already determined you're dumb. You're fighting. You're just fighting a stupid battle. You know what I mean? What's up, S? What's up, man? What's going on? It's like it's been 250 years. The courts have already decided what is and what's not the language of the second, first, third, fourth, fifth, all of 10th, you know, all the way up there, all the amendments. They've already determined what the actual physical language is that was set by the founding fathers. So how these young-minded fools that keep arguing about something that's already been determined legality-wise makes no sense to me. I mean, it's like they keep saying everyone. It's like it's mind-boggling to me. You know, if it's like certain science, certain science is set in stone. It's boom. You can't change it. I mean, it's completely broke down to the minute of mathematics. It's permanent, right? If it's been fought for and completely delineated, we know what's going on. We know what the terminology for everything is. It's set in stone. Why do you keep arguing about it? You know, I think people just want to argue. I think that they wake up in the morning like, I'm going to piss the world off today and start a conversation about something I don't know. Because I think that's the point blank of it is, you know. But, oh, it's kind of like we used to have dueling in the United States. You know, you two gentlemen could walk out, load their dueling pistols, and take aim and fire. You know, they ruled dueling unconstitutionally legal. They called it murder. Even though, you know, if you signed an agreement with two gentlemen that you were going to have a duel, it was a legal binding contract, and it should have been, you know, just fine. But, you know, then Constitution, it's murder. You can't, because, you know, even though it was agreed upon, you know. But of course, if you go out today and you get some of those older muskets that weren't rifled, you know, and you stood your 45 paces away, the likelihood of hitting each other better to slim down. I mean, you know, and with modern medicine, you have at least a 90% chance of surviving. But and you know, if you're wearing a bulletproof vest, right? You know, if you're wearing a bulletproof vest and you go out and you have a gentleman's dueling with some muskets, what's the problem? Did I ever ask you what your favorite chocolate yet, Grumpy? I think milk chocolate would. Yeah, I think you did, Oscar. Milk chocolate would probably be my choice of chocolates. There's some dark chocolates that I like, but no, I'm more of a milk chocolate kind of person. You know, some dark chocolates are good, but you know, that is kind of. But I mean, that's just my opinion on like dueling and things like that. We have too many people in 2026 trying to decipher what people were agreed upon 250 years ago when we have it in writing what they were agreed upon. You know, the first Congress decided what we were going to do, you know, and now we have modern day people going, that's not right. Well, you know, and 100 years from now, it won't really matter because you won't be here. Somebody else will be crying about what you're crying about. So, you know, I mean, here in the United States, we have more pew-pews than the rest of the world in the hands of civilians. right? If you go by the mathematics of 8 billion people and actually our minute small of gun crimes, we have bare to no gun crimes in the United States. Zero. I mean, majority of them are self-inflicted. They're not actual. I mean, they rule it as a crime because if you self-inflict a wound, it's considered a crime. But and crime statistics, but it's you could probably wipe out 75 to 85% of our gun crimes just by the way they statistically put it down as a crime stat. So, I mean, do we have heinous crimes? Yes, every country has heinous crimes. Every country has always had heinous crimes. Yay! It's yes, yes. Don't think I'm gonna say your last name. Morning. How's your day going? Welcome in. Welcome in. Thanks for coming and joining the chat. No. Oh, but those are my somewhat opinion basis this morning. It's kind of like on the whole Iran thing. Everybody's like, "Oh, Iran has a 10-point plan. We don't care. They're losing. We're the victor. The victor sets the bounds of what's going to happen, not the losing party." Because Iran is not winning this war. So everybody that thinks Iran's winning, they're not winning. They're losing. They're getting creamed. They think they're in charge, but no. We should not give Iran an inch of anything. They've lost. We're the victors, and the victor sets the final hurrah, hurrah, And when it comes to peace, sometimes you got to, as the victor, be tough on the hurrah, hurrah, right? Everybody's like, oh, you got it. No, you don't. When you've been threatened for 47 years to destroy our country, there is no quarter should be given. You should give up full surrender. We should do like we did Japan after World War II and wipe out their whole military, all their military, everything, their guns, everything. They should not have one ability to have a gun in Iran, since they have determined that they are a threat to the world with using terrorists and other organizations to cause conflict. Iran is bad. So when people are like, oh, no, we should not let a angry little country decide that they're going to just go out and kill millions of people all the time. Yeah, they might not have actually started a physical war, but if you send out terrorist organizations to attack ships, and put still fear against people, civilian bases, you're an evil people. You can't just kill people and not get away with it. And like our NATO allies, they're becoming a bunch of buttheads. You know what? You're more at risk than we are. And so at the end of the day, we're protecting you, not us. So how'd you lose your headphones, Oscar? Well, my dog's chewed mine up, so because my daughter was borrowing them and she laid them down. The puppies got them and chewed the cord, so they're kaplets. Kind of like my hat. They're like bloop, bloop. And they are no more. So I'm gonna have to buy a new pair of headphones eventually. But I really don't need them though. I mean, when I was going on my ex-friend's channel, I think it was just her setup, but I could tell you not hear anybody unless I was wearing headphones. But like on mine, I've had no issues just using my regular phone with the camera and my mic, So I think it was just the streamer she was using, which was causing so much conflict and so much feedback, because everybody was getting feedback no matter what they were using. So, but eventually when I get a laptop, I'll probably get a mic so I can change my voice and add some things around, add some noise makers, and figure out how to add my little AI characters for trolls, because that's got to be funny as hell when a troll comes. I'm gonna have a little troll dancer, just ha ha, you're a troll, just kind of. Can I put a real weird quote from my? Yeah, you can do anything you want, Oscar, as long as it's appropriate. It's not racist or SA or violent or inherently harmful to somebody. I don't care. I mean, if it's good, I'll even read it out loud for you. Touche, right? So, you like my little dinghy? And I don't know if I like this one. It's not very clear. It's kind of a phased out kind of picture. But you know what the turkey boats, you know. I think I'm off the algorithms today. I don't want a Q&A. Nobody ever does them anyways. Well, screw it. Maybe I'll help people out and come up with questions. Oh, I like Phineas and Ferb. We'll start that one. I like Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and Ferb were awesome. They built cool stuff. Totally impossible for kids to do that. I mean, but especially in the short amount of time that they invented things. Because like that roller coaster would have taken months, not hours. But cartoon magic, you know. You gotta love. That's why I always said that if the real world was like Minecraft, the real world would be so much cooler, you know. You get so much more done if the real world was like Minecraft. Mm-hmm. But what do you do? I don't know. So, oh, don't mind me. I'm just chitter chatting myself. I gotta run to the bank on Monday. I was gonna go today, but I'll go on Monday. There, not no longer. I've never watched Phones. What? You've never watched Phineas and Ferb? Really? Oh man, you totally need to. It's my evil doer. It's my mimesis, it's my Jesus Christ, man. It's it's Perry the Platypus. I'm grumpy. I'm getting ready for work here, but I gotta ask, what did you think of Milena? I liked it. I think coming straight out, telling people get frickin' bent. I'm not guilty, and I'm not gonna deal with any more of your Sarah. Good job for her. You know, First Lady has the right to defend herself against weirdos. You know, so that's all it is to that one. You know, I think every individual, if you're being falsely accused of something that you had no protectment in, and you have people accusing you, you have the right to defend yourself and tell people to get bent. You know, and be allowed to tell your side of the story and the truth. That's you know, I've read several thousand pages of Epstein files, and I've come to the conclusion that it's one of the greatest fiction novels ever to be written by men. Because if it was true, then why in 30 years has nobody gone to jail? And none of it can be proved. None of it's ever been physically proven. It's all just speculated evidence, you know. So, did bad things happen? Yes. Can we prove it happened? Apparently, no. We haven't been able to prove in 30 years that it happened. So, that's just. Well, because the attacks weren't against her husband. The attacks were against her personally. And she has the rights to go out and tell people, you know, you're attacking me without cause, without reason, you know. And it's kind of like Donald Trump. Let's go with Donald Trump. Back in the early 2000s, you know, they set it down to the point where he had no physical involvement. According to the evidence that they had at hand, he had no physical involvement with Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. He was already cleared back in the early 2000s. Here we are 20 years later, but like, oh my God, Donald Trump. They've had half these files, actually 99% of these files they're showing you, are from the 90s and early 2000s. They've already been gone through by court records, the FBI's, multiple federal AGs, multiple state AGs. No charges have ever been brought up other than against Epstein and Maxwell, because they could only prove guilt against Epstein and Maxwell. Because you know how many thousands of names are in the Epstein files of people that were just investors? Just because you're an investor doesn't mean you're a pervert, or you knew that he was doing perverted things to people, you know. So, because look at all the Hollywood actors. I mean, are we going to go arrest half of Hollywood now without probable evidence? No. So, what kind of educational qualifications do you have? Enough to tell you whatever I want to say, because this is my opinion-based show, and I'm giving opinion-based. You don't have to be a brain surgeon to have an opinion, Mr. Guy. But I mean, most people they go off the hyphenated of what everybody else is telling them. They're playing. Most people that speak on the Epstein files have never read any of the files. They're playing the telephone game. Somebody tells them something, and they just tell it and tell it and tell it and tell it and tell it. Well, the truth of it is, and unless you've actually read the files, studied the files, actually investigated the files, investigated everybody in the files, it's all hearsay and speculation. There's no physical evidence, Because especially if you want to bring somebody to a criminal manner and charge them with a crime, physical evidence matters. Something that's written down on a piece of paper that you investigated they couldn't prove, that's speculation. It's hearsay, So I mean, it's a good fiction. It's a good fiction novel. I mean, if somebody should take the Epstein files and actually write a mystery book about it, shit, they'd probably become a millionaire, have a top-selling best book from the Epstein files. All good, Gerby. I need a lot of them. I think the problem is we don't know if there's any evidence because of federal law requires that's federal law. You can't change that. Because the Congress and FBI and all of them investigated have read the uncensored files. When it comes to the public by federal law, if anybody under the age of 18 was in there, anybody that was just a witness or a testimony person that doesn't want their name released, these are federal laws. You have the right as an individual to have your name blocked out. I know. The last government job I worked at, one of the other employees were suing the government, and my name came up, and I had the right to have my name removed. So for it to be released to public interest, if my name was added without my permission for public release, then I could sue because I never gave permission for my name to be released. We have thousands of laws to protect people's private interest, Just because your name is in a file or a criminal act was happening and your name doesn't mean you're partake of the crime. And that's what people's misconception. Yes, bad things happen, but not everybody took partaking in the bad things. So many Saudi billionaires have their, you can. Problem is, we can't charge Saudi billionaires with crimes in the United States unless they freely want to come back. Because pretty sure Saudi Arabia doesn't have an extradition laws with the United States. So once again, and if they were involved, we can't charge them with a crime. I mean, there's a lot of key points that Look at over at England. Look at England. Look at England. That the king's cousin, I think he's a cousin, the king's cousin, that removed his title. They didn't get him for any sex crimes. They got him for financial crimes. Why? Because they could prove financial crimes because there was a money trail, right? They couldn't prove anything other than he committed financial crimes against the crown of England, right? And they consider that treason, which is, so. Oh man, rich people have been doing evil things for 10,000s of years. But still, the point of it is you still got to be able to physically prove it. And it's kind of like my theory right now. So New Mexico and New York, where primarily a lot of the crimes happened, right? Both have a Democratic AG. They could bring up state charges. Why have state charges not been brought up? Because there's no physical evidence. For Tickman, everything that happened down on the island technically wasn't a crime until 2019. So, if anything happened after 2019, sure. But do I think the FBI should be no? Because they were following federal law. Federal law requires them to. It depends on if it's classified information or it's a censorship or something that concludes to public viewing. That they're required by federal law to block it out. That's law. You know, if you want to read the unredacted files, go join the FBI or go get government clearance. Be allowed to go, and actually that's false, Jiggles. It's false. They said they had to release all unclassified files. They released more than unclassified files, which we added to the federal government of doxing or blacking out names in certain parts of the file. That's federal law. Because if you read the prescribed amount of what the Congress wrote, they actually tainted the files, and a lot of that stuff can't even be used in court. Any first-year lawyer would have all that stuff thrown out because the way they released it. So, if you go and you read all the laws that indicate to what that was done, I know there's so much big political theater going on, but the Democrats will just as well know because they wrote half these laws. So that's the one that really just makes me grumpy. Is you have these congressmen and senators that have wrote these laws, financed these laws, and now saying that these laws don't exist. Well, laws don't just change because at $7 a gallon gas. Well, here on the West Coast, they're shutting down our pipeline, which affects Oregon. California's closing down all the refineries, so we're having to buy all of our fuel from overseas. Every governor in the United States could actually drop the fuel tax right now and drop fuel prices. Are they going to do it? No, because that would make sense. So each state governor could pass a law to lower fuel prices. The Congress could pass a law right now to lower fuel prices. They're doing it just to make one man look bad. They all know they can do it. So, well, I guess it's expensive in other countries because of the war, but here we were told in October here on the West Coast that gas was going to go up months before the war took part. So I'm not going to blame the war for something we were already pre-warned about back in October of last year, that fuel price was going to go up above $5 a gallon. And California was pre-warned that they were closing down their 5 or 6 refineries, and fuel was going to go up because you guys have to have that special fuel in California because of the law your governor passed. Now, if your governor would get rid of that stupid fuel law, that gas law in California, fuel would drop down $2 automatically. You would actually have a reprieve in California if they got rid of that stupid special gas. So, I always say, you got to look at the whole picture, not blame one instance. You got to look at everything that's going on in the world that's cause and effect. You can't just focus on one particular event, because if you do that, you never get the true answer. No, we were pre-warned on gas was going to go up in October, And Donald Trump could actually pass the War Act right now and open the reserves and drop gas. There's a lot of preliminary actions they could take right now to drop fuel prices. But I mean, our NATO friends can come in and assist in reopening the strait, and fuel would go back down to $2 a gallon. But for some apparent reason, nobody wants to assist the civilians in helping them make an easier life. Everybody focus on Trump. Everybody blames one man for their problems. Your problems were there before Trump, and your problems will be there after Trump. Our government's huge, Looking at we buy no oil from Iran, so the only reason fuel prices went up is because of European oil costs, because they're part of the oil market, and investors and stocks is the only reason why oil prices went up. So it's actually England, it's actually Europe right now causing the high fuel prices, not Trump. Because Europe could have stepped in and said no, and the fuel market cost per barrel went down because the United States buys no oil from Iran, zero. So our fuel reflection prices are because of Europe, not because of Trump. So you didn't look at the whole big picture. I'm sorry, that's a complete misconception. You just want to blame Trump when it's our investing allies that are causing the majority of our problems right now. See, it's like I love these America First people. I love these America First people. I really do. I mean, they're great people. But the problem with this, America hasn't been a singular nation since like the 1950s. Okay, we are one of the biggest world trade investments, commerce around the world. Everything that happens in the world affects us. So if we want better things to happen at home, we have to make the world a better place. You know, I know everybody gets mad about that, but that's just what you do when you're the world's supreme superpower. You know, there's preliminary actions that have to be taken to make sure that we can sustain ourselves at home, which typically ends up having to. It's like when we gave not Venezuela, but Argentina billions of dollars. I haven't. She's probably in class, most likely. I mean, it's still early. She's probably still in class, but that's like when we gave Argentina billions of dollars to restructure their economy, so we could start, because we were having a riffraff with Canada on beef, so we started buying more beef from them to lower the cost. But you know, we kind of had a snagger on that one, because then the American beef, because we don't. I mean, even here in America, our beef product, the amount of cattle we have left in America because of these stupid green emission laws and all that, you know, because cattle farts have really caused the beef market to be ungodly stupid. So, you know, everybody. I mean, Faith, you should know. You're in school with her. You should know where Yuki is. I mean, sometimes she comes, sometimes she doesn't. To me, I'm just getting bored of everybody just blaming one man instead of taking reflection and blaming the whole entire system itself. The system's broken. The system needs to be re-overhauled, which would benefit 8 billion people, right? But the world's gotten so steady handfast about blaming one individual, and that's insanity, you know, because there's a lot of there's a lot of world governments, right? Are you sure? I think the only one stupid is you, Mr. Phoenix. Yuki! How you doing? Two and a half years, yeah. Is it going to change? No. Policy. The problem with it is, so this is one thing I enjoy. That. So, Trump was trying to break it down to a free world trade market, which benefited everybody. You get, lower the tariffs on everybody. You have a standardized trade agreement. And then the problem with it is here in America, we've been paying hundreds of trillions of dollars to other countries in trade tariffs. And Trump wanted to make it a fair game, so everybody benefited. All 196 countries benefited in the world trade market. Everybody got rich. Instead of, I mean, yeah, we have the largest economy in the world. We pay the most, but still, we buy the most. And so we were trying to break it down to where if we traded with England, or we traded with Iran, or we traded with Pakistan, or we traded with China or Taiwan or Germany or Russia, it was to a fair, complete trade. And so we broke it down to a simplified tariff, and sometimes you got to be a bully to get people to say, hey, yeah, no, you're right. We are charging you a 55% tariff. We don't want to be charged 55% tariff. Let's drop everything down to a 5% tariff, because it makes economical sense, right? But the problem is you have all these countries and sidewinding people that believe that you can tax yourself out of a situation. You can't. You're not going to tax yourself out of issues. You're just going to cause more issues by making poor people poorer and affecting the economy, which, it breaks it all simply down mathematically. But, the math is there, but people just don't freaking get it. I know you want to be stuck, Phoenix, on your liberal Democrat talking points. Dude, I've been in this world a lot longer than you have, and I've seen the destruction of the idiot left-minded people. Go look at Europe. They've lost 90% of their rights because of left-minded idiots. Look at Australia. Every time a left-minded idiot opens its mouth, you've lost a right or ability to do something. You get charged more because they have a plan, right? And it's just stupidity. You can break everything. Math is math is like the best language ever, because math tells the truth. So if the math breaks it down that you're stupid and you don't believe the math, then I can't help you. You know. Well, I always look at this like this, Phoenix. Reading Rainbow. Do your own logical research, and you can break the math down. So tariffs, we've had tariffs for thousands of years. So if you're so tariffs work. So when people say tariffs don't work, we've used tariffs for thousands of years in human history. So that's another thing that makes people sound stupid. When they're like, "Oh, the tariffs." Tariffs work. Tariffs have always worked. That's why every nation has always used tariffs when it comes to trade, from Egypt to Rome to, that was the effective way of the world. Well, when you break it down, I just said that for the last 15 minutes. So no, I'm pro my pocketbook. That's what I'm pro. I'm pro my pocketbook. And the problem with it is I can't blame one man when my pocketbook grows and my taxes go down under one man, but then I have several thousand other idiots in this world trying to reflect and cause my pocketbook damage. If our lovely Congress would just pull their heads out of their idiotic buttholes, the world would be a better place. And I don't just blame Democrats. I blame Republicans for this issue, because Republicans right now are just as bad as Democrats when it comes to their heads stuck up their ass and not passing legislation that actually benefits 341 million people. And on top of that, they're not writing proper laws that benefits the other 7,800 million people. So it just barrels it down to it. If you're the world #1 trade economy and you're got your head up your ass, you don't just affect Americans, you affect the whole world, which returns affects us greatly. So when I listen to these politicians, it's like you all need to go back to like the 3rd grade, and relearn math. Go back to high school and relearn civics. I think they should send every elected official to, before an elected official could actually take office, I think that they should have to go and take a college civics class and be taught physical civics. You know what I mean? Actual and constitutional laws and all that, and basic, because especially if you're going for a congressman, because Congress deals with a lot of tariffs and trade and financial equities and, the commerce of the purse. So I think, in general, if you run for a congressman, a U.S. sitting congressman, I think that you should have to go take a college class, but prove that you have the brains to be a congressperson. You know what I mean? It would fix like 90% of our problems. But, I think in general, it would completely, fairly fix 90% of our problems. That, if we actually forced our government to be smart and actually do their job. And if they don't do their job, fire them. I think each congressman and senator, if their reflection, for their districts, if they don't benefit their districts within the first 300 days of their first year in office, fire them. They should be done. If you go to work and you don't do your job, you get fired. I think the same thing should be for Congress and Senate. If you can't prove within the first 300 days of your first year, you should be fired. If your district if you have not benefited, at least seeing a 15% growth in your district since you took office, fire you. Because you're not worth time and effort. Let's have a special election. Let's replace you, Because a special election sometimes is a hell of a lot cheaper than keep paying these idiots for years and years and years, while all they do is stuff their pocketbooks full of special money and all that crap. Well, the problem with our education system is a big failure too lately. I mean, what is it? 65% of graduating class people can't read or write. You are sending graduated high school kids out into the real world that can't read or write. Really? That's an extreme amount of people that cannot read or write. Really? You're telling me that? And, no offense to our leftist-minded people, but what is it? 87% of our teachers are left-leaning in the education system. So that should give you a pretty breakdown of it. Even AI will break it down for you logically. AI might break it down for you faster. Just a whole particular. But no, it's just to the point where we live in a weird world. I mean, it's like the whole world just went into the twilight zone or something around about 2008. I know a lot of you are too young to remember, but man, the world has just gone nutty. Or since about 2008, the world's just gone, bleh, you know. I know because I pay attention, and I've done a lot of traveling. I know people they say no, I've seen it firsthand, the destruction and the stupidity, right? People think it's all this, but they think all they rate the capture some major replaced but the importance of 10%. But people like to. Thank you, Yuki. People don't like to do their own research. They just like to call names, but like I said, to begin with, this is my opinion based. If you want facts, I'm going to allow you to go out and find your own research. Today's just my opinion based. What I say is an opinion. Most of it's factual. Most of it you have to find for yourself. But it still comes down to the breakdown of it. That, we got to stop blaming one man for all everybody's issues. We need to blame the whole entire system. The system itself has been proven to be a failure, right? And the problem with it is you have a certain group of people that keep wanting to push a failed system on the world. Well, we already know that system no longer works. So we need to get everybody together, put everybody's heads, smash them together, and say, hey, it's not working. Let's do something different, right? But we got 8 billion people. And what was it, like 3-some billion people of the 8 billion are starving to death and dying of diseases and all that? I mean, talk about a humanitarian crisis. People walk around blind to everything. They only see one objective that they want. Oh my God, but they don't see the whole entire outside the whole global economy of it. It's weird to me. This is why I probably shouldn't watch other YouTubers. But they give me good content, though. They give me something to be grumpy about. Because it's, hey, Jonathan, welcome in. You know what I mean? It does. It gives me something to grump about when I watch these other YouTubers. So, can you debate it? Can you prove me wrong? No, you can't. That's the problem with it. I mean, I can say it. See, you can tell me I'm wrong, but the problem is you have to physically be able to prove me wrong. You can't say I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong. See, that's where a lot of people misconcepted. You can say I'm wrong, prove me wrong. I will take that argument right there. But it's all what it is. I mean, if you can't prove me wrong other than using emotional tactics, then you yourself have no idea what you're talking about. You know what I mean? So, well, one thing, I'd have to restart the whole entire chat to bring you on. So, maybe later. But still, are you going to come on here with your emotional defectos going, oh, instead of bringing numbers and actual facts? So, that's always a entertaining argument. I've had that a few times about people coming on being enraged and argumentative, and our argumentative's not facts. That's just your argumentative opinion on the matter. I listen to that 1,000 times a day. So, problem with it is, Yuki, is most people they don't bring knowledge. They bring emotions. That's why we have these problems we're having now in the world. Is people aren't thinking from a logical standpoint, they're thinking from an emotional standpoint. You can't write laws with emotions. You have to write laws with logic. You have to write financial bills with logic, not emotion. Are you leaving us? Oh, bye, Faith. It's like your lower income community, where they don't have a high GDP, so they pretty much, when it comes to city bills and all that, their education, they just get pretty much wiped off the map, instead of actually being assisted by the city. So the city uses where the city gets its most income. It's where the city puts all of its financial efforts to. So your lower income facilities, the schools get hurt, the stores get hurt, the streets get, they just get abandoned. You get less fire protection, less police force protection, because you don't have a good GDP in your environment. So your city just kind of abandons you. Pretty much what almost all governments do, unless you're actually into where you benefit. The government just kind of abandons you, and then they say, oh well, we'll give you welfare and we'll give you housing. Well, you're giving me housing that's crumbling. You're giving me water I can't drink. I got to drive 40 miles to a store because no store wants to be in my community because the community is pretty much toasted. So there's a lot of industrial views you got to look on how everything works. It's a big rotten system, and we pretty much murdered it. Hey, Haley girl, what's going on? Welcome in, welcome in. But look at most of your inner cities. Look at most of your poor sections of your inner cities. They're run by the leftist party, and they get abused. But they keep voting Democrat, man. I don't understand that. You've literally been abandoned by the people that you say are there to help you. To me, that's insanity, right? I mean, yeah, we have poor areas in the Republican, but at least they still get county grants and like that, and they can apply for things. They're not destitute, right? Because like the little city I live in right here, we get lots of federal grants because, we partake in a lot of federal projects, and so we get federal grants, which helps equitize our little small community, right? And majority of the people in town, they're retired anyway, so it's not really a big issue, But, when you go in these larger communities, though, where it affects hundreds of thousands of people, it's, quit promising the world and actually do your job and fix the problems. That's where I'm with that. I'm tired of listening to these politicians promising everything, and they give you nothing. And by the time you're done with it, you're worse off than you were when it started. Because they look at New York right now, promised all these freebie things, and none of the freebie things were granted. They just rose your taxes, and they've caused all the stores and rich investors that actually were helping keep the city above float move to a different state, so you didn't benefit anything. People got to stop blaming the rich, and they got to stop blaming the poor, and they got to reevaluate this broken system that we live in today, because if not, it's gonna get worse. That is the truth. Has anybody done the quiz on the Phineas and Ferb summer thing? Because I didn't even see what it is. Did anybody do that? I don't want to go to work tonight. Yeah, I don't blame you. Work sucks, but it puts money in your pocket, so No, but I've always thought that's fun, and I'll call out the left and the right at the same time on the whole issues, because my theory is at this point between the left and the right, we're all wrong because the system's still broke, right? So as long as the system's broke and the left and the people we put in office aren't doing their jobs, we should fire them all and replace them with people who want to do their jobs. We have people in the Senate and the Congress that have been there for 50 years. You think you don't know what the hell if you don't know how to do your job in 50 freaking years, we have screwed ourselves as a civilization. We keep putting morons in elected offices, right? Good God. What am I doing for lunch today? I have no idea. A sandwich sounds good. I'm actually having a sweet tooth today. I might just get some honey buns or something, some whipped cream or something, just have a delicious, quick, sweet snack for lunch. I don't know. Maybe. But you know what I mean? We keep, we're not evolving as a civilization. We're like we're going in reverse. Mine have. I make a lot of money, so you're wrong, and I pay less taxes than I was paying under the last administration. So actually, I'm way ahead of what I was in 2024. So, and I paid a lot more taxes than you probably make. So that's a false argument that your pocket. No, Yuki, they don't. Presidents have a standardized what they want plan. But Congress and Senate is still in charge of the whole entire economy. Your governor is still in charge of your whole entire your mayors and all that. That is your main life goal. What happens mainly in your main life is affected by your state and city government, not your federal government. You know, and states need to take more responsibility on what's going on. And your state governor can fix your gas problem. They have the authority. They have the power. Are they doing it? No. The only governor that's pulled his head out of his butt right now to at least alleviate some of the pain is the governor of Georgia. He's the only one that pulled his head out of his butt and actually lowered costs. So I'm a professional rock farmer. I sell rocks. Oh, it's funny. No, I mean, it's the truth, though. I mean, and people are still, read the chat. People are still fighting tooth and nail for the failed system and not wanting to reset the system to where it benefits her. I mean, read the chat. Listen, look at these people. They're fighting to keep a broken system, to keep reinforcing a broken system that apparently has not worked in the last 50 years. We know we have $37 trillion in debt. You know what that means? It's not working. If every year you're adding $1 trillion, $2 trillion extra dollars in debt to your national treasury, when you got, because it's just pure. But look, read the chat though. It's just completely. It's funny that people are fighting for a system that apparently does not work, and they want to reinforce a system that does not work. That's insanity, man. I mean, that's crazy to me. That should be crazy to you, as an individual. That if you can blatantly hear somebody say, we should continue on the same broken down pathway that we've been on for years and don't change it. Don't find a different solution to advance us as a society. You want to continue on a broken pathway. Wow. That should scare you as young minds. You know what I mean? If you have an adult physically tell you, we need to continue on a broken pathway because it affects your future, that should scare you. If your educator's telling you that we need to continue on a failed, broken system, that should scare you. 100% should scare you. You should question them. You'd be like, no, that's not true. That's not what it said. No, you know what I mean? We need to start questioning our governments, our educators. You young minds need to start questioning your educators and their ability to do their jobs, because they are affecting your futures and your lives. My life's not affected by it. I'm already stable in life. But you young-minded people, though, when it comes down to it, you need to start questioning everything that's going to happen in your life. Hey, William, what's going on? You know what I mean? Because your future. Because by the time you come out here into the working force in the real world and actually, start building everything up, people like Grumpy, we're not going to be here anymore. So it's your future that's being affected right now by what's going on right now because your government that refuses to fix the issues. Because I could sell everything I have tomorrow. I could go live perfect for the next 30 years of my life and just be happy dappy clam. You know what I mean? Because my life isn't affected by all this ups and downs and roller coasters. You guys are. And you should start asking questions about it. You should be doing research. You should be checking out, you should be coming together and be like, hey, that old fat man hasn't, big light bulb, right? It's us that are being affected. You guys are affected. The young minds, the new generations, the futures to come. We have left you poop, because we have a failed system that refuses to completely be thrown out and a new system rebuilt. And socialism is already a failed economics. It doesn't work, but capitalism is the best system, but it has to be used properly. And we have completely screwed capitalism to the point where it's no longer being used properly. like it was designed to be used, where you could go out as a young woman or young man and build yourself millions of dollars within your first 10 years of working career. You have an idea. You're like, I could start a business, and my business will grow because my government's not going to rip me off to the point where I can't even afford to pay my employees, right? It's crazy. We're in a broken world. I tell you that greed of our government has caused thousands of our issues. But people turn a blind eye to it because they got us fighting back and forth about who's politically right, the left or right. We both know they're both morons. We both know they're morons, and they both all caused the issues, because and I listen to our leftist friends, right? Their whole entire solution is to remove the president. Well, the whole solution should be like you should be putting your mind together and fixing the solutions that we have at hand. You know what I mean? But they're more worried about winning elections than fixing the problems, and that's the other thing that should scare you from both left and right. That people are more worried about winning their next election than actually helping their communities that we're sent from to do. So, well, the economy is actually doing just fine. If you go by the numbers, the economic economy, GDP, we're still seeing growth, financial growth. So, if your economy is still seeing growth, then yes, the economy is working. So, but the economy is not working for everybody. So that's a standpoint. Yes, our GDP is still growing, but there's not everybody's GDP is growing. So, which is cause and effect. But like I say, the whole system should work for everybody, not work against everybody. And the problem with it is we have a system where they've made it to where it cripples the bottom and minutes, and actually it's affecting everybody because now we've crippled the top, which is crippling the middle, which is crippling the bottom, which is making extreme homelessness. Nobody can afford to buy a home. Nobody can buy groceries because right now we're in such a demand deficit where, we're causing so much problems because nobody wants to fix the solutions. They just want to blame everybody, but they're just the blame game. Listen to them all. It's all a blame game. Where's the solutions? How are we going to fix the problems? These are the questions you should be asking. How are we going to logically fix the problems? But go on the news. Go on these YouTubers. They're blaming everybody. Or it's his fault. It's his fault. No, it's all of your faults, man. Y'all caused the issue. Every one of you. From the bottom end educator to the banker to the frickin' capital to the. It's all a bunch of BS. I don't know. Gas and food prices are pretty well decent in my area, but I don't live in a metropolis area where trucking companies get charged more money for going into big metropolitan areas, which causes food prices to go up more. So there's another one of your problem. Your deep impact is still caused by your state government. It's causing more taxes on logistics. So yeah, you're going to be paying more money. So once again, you still don't know what you're talking about. You're still trying to blame one issue and not look at the whole congruent picture, man. It's insanity. All you're doing is using emotions. You're not using logic. If I go into a metropolitan area where they're charging trucking companies more money to deliver, they're getting tickets. You go to New York, go to the East Coast. Every trucking company goes and delivers into the boroughs, gets a parking ticket. Everyone, every day, thousands of trucks a day get hundreds of dollars a truck. That affects your grocery prices because they have to pay that. You want your food at low prices, but these city governments have made it virtually impossible to bring the food to you. And so, yeah, your food costs are going to go up because your city and state governments have made it physically impossible to get the food to you. It's insanity. It's if it costs, I'd rather deliver to a small town where I can pull right in, unload, their food prices are reasonably cheaper than a big city because the small town's not charging me all this equity tax and, all this insurance fees. So it's completely stupid, you know. Oh, buddy, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea how the real world works. It's the real world is insane. It's just completely stupefied, you know, from the farmer to the manufacturer to the trucking company to there's so much taxes being. I mean, we pay 1,000 taxes before we ever buy that Twinkie. You know, it's insane. How many taxes does that one Twinkie have to have before you make a poop out of it? You know what I mean? I mean, just look at the system's completely flawed. That Twinkie should have one tax, not 1,000 taxes. That hamburger should have one tax, not 1,000 taxes. You know. No, I'm just saying. No, it's not what I implied. I said you probably live in a metropolitan area, but it's just still though food is reasonably cheaper in rural areas than it is in a metropolitan area. That's just the facts. So, you know. Oh, Yuki, he stays because he knows I'm. I mean, look at Oscar. Hell, they're meaner in Oscar than we are here in the United States. Him and Eric, hell, they get taxed out of their. Surprised they're not getting taxed for breathing yet. That's probably next. You're probably gonna get an oxygen tax here pretty soon in the UE and Canada and Australia. Oh yeah, you're probably it's coming. Just wait. You're gonna get a speaking tax next. I mean, you already have to have all those other taxes and licenses. You're gonna have to get a breathing license, before you go out, and you have to. Every time you take a breath, they're probably gonna charge you 15 cents a breath. So you're gonna have to be carrying around a O2 tank, so you're not. No, you are. Well, I mean, I guess you. I mean, you really are. I mean, so I got a funny one for you. So back in the '80s, they had the sci-fi movie, right? And the oxygen in the future was really heavy. And so when she was back into the '80s, and she had to like smoke a lot just to be able to breathe, right? Well, the storyline of the movie was, as they killed all the cattle in the future, there was no beef in the future because of cow farts, right? And I'm like, that's just stupid. I thought that as a little kid, that was just stupid. And now here we are in the 2020s, and they're talking about we got to get rid of cows for cow farts, right? Sometimes I think the movies actually tell you what's coming to fruition. You just got to kind of read between the lines because, they had several movies about before the World Trade Towers were hit. September 11th, World Trade Towers were hit by 2 airplanes. They made multiple movies about them, I think they tell us what's going to happen. We just don't listen. We have a blinders on, for an entertainment purposes. But the world is a funny place. I tell you. They tell you. They give you warnings, and we just can. I mean, it's like right now he's still fighting against me. He can't improve his own argument. I mean, he's literally agreeing with me, but he's going to argue with me just for substantial reasons, just because he likes to argue. Right? That's the one that humors me right now. He's literally subjectively agreeing with me, but he just wants to push on an argument just so he can prove that he was right. And once again, this is an opinion-based show. If you want your own facts, go find them. Right? So, hello, grandson. All right, I got me a new grandson. I'm not buying you Christmas, though. Because you haven't been a good grandson this year because you haven't been on the channel long enough. And you didn't give me a like or a share subscription, so tell your grandkids today, what are you going to do with them? Oh. Hold on. I got to get my likey pull out so I can fish for likes. I'm not wrong. That's the problem. You're arguing for a failed system that you're complaining about. My argument's against that failed system. You keep saying that the prices are high, this and that, but you keep arguing to stipulate to keep using the failed system. So the only person that has the false argument is you, dude. You keep trying to push a failed argument. You know, that's the problem with people like you. You don't even listen to the words coming out of your mouth. You're literally fighting and complaining about a failed system, but you refuse to allow the system to change for itself. It's insanity. I listen to tens of thousands of people just like you every day have the same argument. Oh, we just got to blame. Well, you know, there's solutions. There's fixable issues to every problem. Problem is we don't go for the solutions. We keep pushing the failed system that we know doesn't work. The math proves it doesn't work. So let's just keep on doing it. And then on top of it, we could fix the issues that we have and rebuild to where it all works. But then you have this population that wants to push into an extreme failed system that has basically destroyed 4.8 billion people around the world and left them destitute. You know, if that system totally has been proven not to work, why would you even try to bring that in at all? I mean, that's just insane. That's insane to me. But you know, I'm so glad I only got 5 more years of this dealing with this insanity, and then I'm gonna go do something better. Just cash out and run away. Oh, that's because you can't prove me wrong. That's why you're all irate and mad, because you can't prove me wrong, because I'm right and you're wrong. That's why you're so mad and angry all the time, because you're just here for the argumental state. You haven't said anything logical, anything to fix the problems. All you've done is complain through the whole entire chat. So where was I wrong? You're saying I'm throwing out nothing but a word salad and burgers, but yet you haven't said anything logical to fix the issues, which essentially will change how it would better benefit your life. So therefore, you're throwing out a false argument just so you have the point saying, I argued with a YouTuber today. You didn't give any points to anybody. Nobody feels smarter now after your 25-minute rant in the chat about nothingness. I know you've said I've been wrong 100 times, but yet you haven't yet been able to say where I'm wrong. You know, no, because the problem, because liberals are morons. Liberals have caused 96% of our economic problems in the United States and worldwide. So you're a moron. See, once again, you're on an emotional, illogical frickin' argument just for the state to argument. Just for an argument. And you're right. Most people that come on my show are under the age of 18, which I don't know why, because I put the age limiter, but still, they are the future, and they should know about how stupid you people are. Because it's affecting them mainly. It doesn't affect people like me. I've already built a stabilized life. But it affects them. And they should know. And knowledge is power. And they should know that they're getting screwed. That in today's society, that they don't have a chance of hell because their grandparents and my generation has completely screwed everything up because we refuse to fix the system so they have a better future. They should know. You're out here fighting for a system that keeps them down and broke, man. That's insanity. You know? It's like, wow, come on. You're just like everybody else in this world fighting on an illogical argument with no change. You know? Talk about crazy. That's just nutty doo doo. Wow. Oh, wow. Well, Yuki, I went over my hour. I think I'm gonna come on later, but I think we're gonna end the stream. So you want to give the farewells, ha-ha-shara-sharas, and we'll end this live stream. We'll do it again later this afternoon. You know what I mean, Mr. Yuki. So, that is my grumpy rump today. And like I always say, if you can't be happy, let's be grumpy together, everybody. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. A lot of love and all that. I'll see you later this afternoon. Here's Live School.